Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some relationship stories. And if you do love a relationship story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack straight on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Piccoloco Aunt, but it's been compiled by The Great Reposty, who says, "Am I the arsehole for yelling at my aunt that I want to go back to my real home?" So I, 16 female, and my little brother Ben, 12, live with our aunt Katie, 35. She's like super rich. Like we live in a farm in BC and her house is huge. She's an engineer and she goes to fancy dinners, has met MPs and meets business people a lot. Like she got my brother a PS5 the day it came out. Our mum was not rich. We lived in a one-story house, but I loved it. After our mum died, we were supposed to live with our dad's parents in Ontario, but aunts took us both in instead. I didn't really know Aunt Katie before that. Like, I remember when I was little and she lived with mum and my grandparents, but then she was gone one day. Mum always said they had a bad fight, but she's never talked about it, and Aunt Katie's told me enough for me to get the feeling that they didn't really like each other because of it. I know Aunt Katie loves me, like she'll teach me how to cook, go to my games and help with pre-calc, but it's not like it is with Ben. Like she treats him like he is her son, and I've always just felt like I'm staying over. I don't know, I've really been missing home, and yesterday after dinner I asked her if I could go and see it and she said no. When I asked why, she said why would I ever want to go back there when she's given me so much better. It kind of started a fight between us and she said she always hated that place and it hurt her to go there. Then she said one day I'd appreciate her taking me into the house when it's mine, and I yelled back that I want to go back to my real home. She just got really quiet and sent me to my room. I heard her crying in her room last night when I went to the washroom, and I feel bad, but I don't know if I'm wrong because I just want to see it again. When I told Ben about it this morning, he told me I was an asshole since I made her cry, and she does so much for us. Writing this in my free period, so not sure I'll be able to respond much. Edit, quickly putting this in before my lunch period ends. My mum died when I was 12 and my brother was 8, and we lived with Aunt Katie since then. She didn't just take us in this year. Wow, this is an awfully tricky one, and I've got to say first off, I'm so sorry for your loss at any age, but particularly at so young. Losing a parent like that and having to deal with those feelings and the grief and stuff like that, it must be incredibly difficult. And I don't think you're really wrong to feel the way you do and that you miss your old home, just for everything that's going on right now. And I can't call you an arsehole for it, but at the same time I can't call Aunt Katie an arsehole either. And obviously we don't know what's happened in that previous house that she's so upset about that she doesn't want to go back there. And I wonder if, like, with a constructive conversation, no yelling at each other, just a heart to heart, you can open up about these feelings. Obviously, I don't know. It's very easy for me to say these things, but sometimes they're incredibly difficult to say to anyone sometimes. And you do sound like you love each other. So I think communication is going to solve a lot of the problems that we're seeing right here. Again, I don't know. But one commenter asks OP if her aunt lived in the house where she grew up, and OP responds, it is. Another commenter said her aunt may have trauma about that house, and OP says, I know she does, but I love that place. It's where my mum and grandparents were, and all my memories of them are there. Another commenter says her aunt clearly cares for her a lot, and OP responds saying, I know she loves me, and maybe she does see me as a daughter, but it doesn't feel that way most of the time. Only sometimes. Maybe it's because my brother was smaller and was more of a baby when she took us in. Another commenter says that what she said clearly hurt her aunt a lot, and Opie responds saying, I didn't mean to do any of that. Ask how her aunt treats her and her brother differently, and suggests she may be the one keeping her at arm's length, and Opie responds saying, I don't mind answering. It's nothing like that. My aunt calls me by my name, where my brother, she has so many pet nicknames and stuff for. The gifts she gets him on his birthdays are amazing. They watch shows together every night if she's not at a meeting or at dinner. With me, it's none of that. The only time it feels like she's a mum is when she's teaching me to cook, or when I cuddle with her while we're watching a movie or things like that. Other than small things like that, it just feels distant, like I'm not supposed to be there. Maybe she doesn't see it like that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Another commenter asks OP if she has reached out to her aunt and she may want the same thing. OP responds saying, I think that I've tried, but I guess I don't know if I do it right. Like, I do want to be closer since she is the closest thing I have to a mum, and I guess I do get jealous of my brother because of that. commenter suggests OP see a grief counselor and OP responds, "My aunt sent my brother and me to a psychologist for a while after she took us in." Commenter tells OP to be thankful for her aunt taking them in, and OP says she didn't have to. She chose to take us in. I thought we were going to get sent across the country to Ontario. Another commenter tells OP her aunt may not want to replace her mum. OP responds saying, "I've tried to be closer to her, and I do love her, and there are times when she feels like a mum, but when I see her with my brother it's like she is all the time for him, and only some of the time for me." Another commenter asks what the situation with her father and paternal grandparents is, and OP responds saying, "I don't talk to them, and I haven't seen my dad since I was 5. I don't know where he is, and I don't care." Commenter gives OP some thoughtful and caring advice, and OP responds saying, "Thank you, this made me feel better. I'll definitely be reading this again for motivation before I talk to her today." And another commenter suggests that her aunt is also coping with her mum's death, and OP responds saying, "I never thought about it like this." And now we do have another update, which we're going to cover now. So the day I posted, I didn't see Aunt Katie because she was working all day. But the day after, she surprised me by picking me up from school. Ben bust. She told me we'd talk about things at home. Then she took me shopping and then to the spa, and we had the best time together. When we got home after dinner, she said we needed to talk now and took me to the nursery. I did get scared because that's the one room Ben and I aren't allowed to go to. She said she was sorry if I didn't think of her home as mine yet and would try harder. She told me how bad her parents were to her, and it was okay to keep loving them because they weren't like that to me, but I can't anymore. She told me she left home because my mum stole her master's tuition money to pay for me and Ben, and she didn't tell me this because she didn't want me to ever think of my mum as bad, but I needed to know why she wasn't going back there. I honestly felt like shit at that point. She then told me she took us in because our mum was probably afraid what would happen to us when she was gone, and what if being with our dad's parents let him take us. Then she told me how everything she has is for Ben and me, and how it will be ours when she's gone. And I just started crying because I didn't want to think of her being dead like everyone else we love. I cried like a baby in her arms till my head hurt, and I think I ruined her shirt with all the fluids. I tried to remember what you guys told me to say, like how I should apologize and stuff to say to her, but I couldn't, so I just kept saying sorry. When she finally got me to calm down, she asked if I felt okay, and I remembered what one user said, and I told her how I loved doing all the things with you together because it made it feel like I still have a mum, and felt jealous she did so much more with Ben, like she wants to be his mum but not mine. She gave me a hug, oh dear, and said she loves me just as much and promised to make more time for just us. She did make me brush and go to bed, but sat on my bed and held my hand till I fell asleep. I know it was babyish, but I did like it, and it did make me feel a bit special again. Since then, things have been so much better. We've all been spending so much more time together, and it kinda started feeling like a real family. Oh dearie me. Who's chopping those onions again? Bloody onion ninjas. And what a wonderful person that aunt sounds like. Taking these two in, caring for them, trying to defend the kid from the aunt's past and what she's been through, even though it would have reflected negatively on the children's parents. And in the end, I think Aunt Katie did right by, telling them the truth. They deserve to know the truth, especially when it was negatively impacting their relationship now. Absolutely wonderful bunch of people there, but now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story is a cheeky little request that I received over email yesterday from Priya, who clearly loves a cat story. They was reading the saga of Jorts and loving it, so they came up with this suggestion, and it's from Cat Dad Advice, who says, "Crush said, 'You're a handsome boy, just like your daddy,' to my cat." If you want the short of it, my crush said to my cat while pet sitting, "You're a handsome boy just like your daddy," and I don't know what to do. I, 32 male, befriended a co-worker, 31 male. We've been friends for around 3 years. He is very outgoing and has many friends, so I assume he is just a nice guy and isn't interested in me in the same way I am with him. Still, we eat coffee every Tuesday and Thursday morning and interact outside of work. Examples of this are dinner, coffee, trivia, and general conversation. After we got to know each other a bit better and truly became friends, he had the privilege to meet my cat, whose name is Prince. He's an orange tabby cat with a lot of fur and fluff. My friend instantly started fawning over him and talking about showing me pictures of his old cat named Pinto Bean, who tragically passed away 5 years ago. Now onto the event in question. I recently went on a trip with my mother to visit some cousins out of state. We planned to be gone for about 4 days. I decided to ask my friend to pet sit since he loves Prince, and unlike my other friend, he's an experienced cat owner. I warned him about how I had some cameras in my house, and he said he wasn't bothered by them, and if I wanted to check in on how things are going, that would be okay with him. I was very grateful for this and offered to pay. However, he said spending time with Prince was payment enough. So I gave him the rundown of Prince's schedule, where his food is, his favourite toys, etc. I mentioned that if Prince is shedding and leaving a lot of hair around, then he could just brush him, only if he wanted to. He said he would, but I still decided to give Prince a good brushing before I left. On the 3rd day of the trip, he texted me saying he was going to try and brush Prince. He loves being brushed and will roll over and let you even brush his tummy. But he has never been brushed by anyone other than me, so I was a little worried. I tried to ignore it, but after a few minutes, I decided to check on the camera to see how he was doing with him. Oh, I just put a vivid image of the guy getting mauled by a cat on the camera there. Sorry to interrupt. I could see at the edge of the screen where they were sitting and could hear them easily. I checked for a few seconds, but that was all that was needed. I'm not sure whether it was the Lord or Satan that caused this coincidence, but that is when I heard my friend say in between his other compliments to Prince, "Oh, you're such a handsome boy, just like your daddy." Aren't you a handsome boy? My heart stopped hearing that. I still can't stop thinking about it. Does this mean anything? Could he possibly be attracted to me the same way I am to him? I know he is bisexual, but perhaps I'm being too hopeful and this is a normal thing to say to your friend's cat. What would you do in my situation? Edit, I want you all to know I plan on complimenting him and seeing how he reacts. If it's positive, I will try and ask him out to dinner in person, but if I get too anxious, I might just do it over text. However, the more consensus is that I should just ask him out. I will wait to see how things go on Monday and take it from there. I am very overwhelmed by the positive responses. I did not think that this many people would be cheering me on or that this would ever be posted elsewhere. So thank you, and I promise if I do ask him out to make an update since so many of you are asking for that. And we do have a couple of updates on this post, and in one of these updates we best be getting some bloody cat tags, I'm telling you that right now. Cheeky so-and-so doing a cat post with no cat tags. What's going on here? I'm only playing them. I'm only playing. And apologies for my interruption, but that guy just put a vivid image in my head of, him worrying about the guy brushing his cat and turning his phone on, and suddenly the guy's got the cat wrapped to his face like, ah! You know what cats are like. And before we cover a couple of those cheeky comments, it did pop into my head, he knows you got cameras in the house. And whether they record or they just show live footage, I don't know. But if I was in someone's house with cameras, I wouldn't be expecting them to watch me all day, for sure, absolutely. But there is that chance, a percentage chance, that they might catch you saying something. And I just wonder, is this a fairy tale in the making? Him just saying to the cat, thinking, oh, maybe he might just hear me say this. A little hint there, maybe. I don't know. I could be reaching out on purpose here just for the fairy tale romance. But Eb says, if you know he is bi, then you should just ask him out and express that you are interested. If he says he doesn't feel the same, then you just pretend it didn't happen and move on. OP says, the most simple advice, but probably the best. I know it's cliche, but I keep backing out of asking him because I don't want to ruin our friendship. Perhaps if I ask him fast enough, I will not have time to overthink it. Slow says, gosh, all the time you spend together it seems like you are dating. You gotta officially ask him out. Please update. To which OP says, your comment is very heartwarming, even though there is a possibility he could reject me. Everyone seems to want me to ask him out. I suppose I should just man up and do it. Rain Adams says, there are a hell of a lot of ways to test the water than just ask him out. OP, pay him a generic compliment or something in person. See how it's taken. There are lots of other things you can do, like many people do. Generally referred to as flirting. The absolute first step after overhearing something doesn't need to be run and ask them out. OP says, this is much more a safe option that seems like something I can do without my hands shaking. Flirting is not something I have much experience with, so I will try my best. If you have any other advice, please let me know since yours is the first comment that is different. Blue says, this is adorable and honestly, you went on borderline dates with a man already. No harm in asking him out, especially with a comment like that. Don't back out. Keep us updated, please. It's rare to see nice stories on this subreddit. An OP reply saying the general consensus is to ask him out. However, there are a few that want me to be more cautious. I'm still on the fence at the moment. I think I'll sleep on it. However, you and someone else have said we have already been on dates before, and my more hopeful side likes to think that is true. So now we're going to move on to the update to find out what happened next. Based off of the many comments I received, I decided to take your advice and test the waters before deciding if I should ask him out. On Monday, I went with a basic compliment on his appearance, since I thought this would be the safest to do. He seemed very pleased, especially since I complimented his hair, and he was surprised because he didn't do much to it that morning. He also complimented my outfit as well, and said that the colour of my shirt suited me. This made me keep thinking about his comment to Prince, which in turn made it hard to stop smiling. Another one of my co-workers even asked me, "What are you grinning so much about?" which was embarrassing to say the least. So then I decided Tuesday to do what someone else suggested, which was expressing how much I enjoy his company. I ended up doing this when we got coffee this morning. He responded to this very positively. He said, "I feel the same, and also I will always make time to get coffee with you." Normally I would assume these comments were him being polite, however, I kept rereading your comments in my head and it was making me a hopeful and nervous mess. Later I thought back on his responses and was pondering if I should ask him out or test the waters more. Someone suggested something physical like putting my hand on his arm. However, the thought of doing that made me nervous, so I knew I wouldn't be able to execute it well. So I ended up taking a leap of faith and decided to ask him out. There are many encouraging comments saying I should do it. There are also others explaining that even if he rejects me, then there is a higher chance of our friendship would stay intact. The only problem was whether or not I tell him about overhearing him on the camera. I decided that I would ask him out without mentioning the camera. My reason is that if he was not interested in me, then there is a chance he could see me as a creep and hate me. If he didn't reject me, then perhaps I could tell him later and hope that it wouldn't ruin anything between us. This is probably not what you will want to hear, but in the end I decided to text him. I thought about the creative suggestions you commented, but I realized a text would be the easiest to handle for the both of us if he rejected me. I tried not to come off too strong and just say that I have feelings for him and was wondering if he would like to go out with me sometime. In hindsight, this was the best choice, as while typing my message my hands were shaking. Silly as it is, I also had to briefly close my eyes to hit the send button. Lord only knows what I would have done asking in person. When he finally responded, I felt like my heart was going to explode. I had to convince myself to look at his message. He responded saying, "Of course, I'd love to." He then sent many other messages asking me if we should get dinner, if so where, what day, etc. I was still reeling over the fact that he not only said yes, but he said he would love to. I know it's strange to get hung up on his wording in a 5-word response. However, he could have said I would like that or that sounds fun, but no, he said he'd love to. It is cliche, but I do feel as if my whole world has stopped. In my emotional state, I went over and picked up Prince and showered him in kisses and gave him many treats and as thanks for unknowingly creating this. I will also add that after we texted for a while, figuring out the logistics of our date, he did confess that he was thinking of asking me out earlier. However, he was not 100% sure if I was interested in men. So I suppose some of you were right about that. So that is the end of my update. I'm sorry for the length of it. All in all, thank you for all convincing me to do something I felt like I would never have the courage to do. I never understood why so many people ask for advice on these things, but I understand now. I will also add that I did not know what cat tax meant. I had to Google it, and I have learned that you want pictures of my Prince. Here is the link to pictures of him. Let me know if you can see them, and let me take a quick look at this cat tax. God, that is one fluffy cat. And the second photo just sums up cats in total. The chaos, doesn't it? And let's just finish up with the little how my date went update. I want to make this quick and final update since a few people were invested in how my date went and if I told them about overhearing them on the cameras. I won't go into much detail, but the date was wonderful. We had a few more dates and plan on having more in the future. It's almost as if all our previous evening plans as friends have now turned into our date nights. It is very wonderful. As for overhearing on camera, it came up because he asked me what made me want to ask him out. I did not want to lie to him, and I did not want to ignore his question, so I was honest and told him. I tried to phrase it the same as my first post, since many of you did not think that was creepy. To my surprise, he started laughing and said, "I can't believe that actually worked." I knew it! I knew it! Apparently, while pet sitting, he had said many other compliments about me, hoping I would overhear him on the camera. However, he never thought I would actually hear him. I was relieved and very happy to know what other nice things he said about me. All in all, things are going well with me, my partner and Prince. Thank you all so much for your advice and kind words. I had no idea this many people would be rooting for me and happy for me, and of course we're happy for you. It's an absolutely amazing story. It expresses so many emotions that we go through when we're trying to meet new people and stuff like that, or even friends and trying to ask them out, thinking about what they might be thinking. Oh, well, are they going to think I'm a fool for asking them out? Are they going to reject me? What happens when they reject me? Is the friendship broken? Just so much stuff going in your head, and you express that so well in your story. It had a happy ending. It's got cat tags. It's got it all. Absolutely wonderful story, and I'm so happy for OP in this. Thank you so much for Priya for suggesting it. Always appreciated. If you guys yourself have your own little favorite relationship stories with updates as well, preferably always get in touch with me, Twitter, email, whatever you want to do, Discord, and let's get involved. But what do you guys make of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, a huge thank you for spending 20 to 30 minutes with me today, getting involved in the channel. Your love, support, and time always means the world to me. Thank you so much, and I will see you, you cheeky so-and-so, in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today